What's up, internet? My name's Ori. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. You like this video, hit that like button, hit that notification bell. You'll never miss a video. You'll never miss a stream. Today, we're going over Digital Daily number 14, and we have some good information. We already know that Koozie is the HOH, and pretty much Tai is running her HOH. But how are nominations going to go? Where is Koozie's head at with the target? Who does she want to nominate? We got a little bit of that on yesterday's daily, but today it kind of seems like it's solidified. I will tell you, it was not confirmed. If you're seeing anywhere on Twitter that people are saying, oh, it's this person and this person, it's not true, because we did not get an actual confirmation. Today's dailies all came before the noms were made, so we do not know who the nominations are. But it seems very likely that the nominations will be Santina and Vanessa. There's even options for a backdoor, which right now would be Dan, but it seems like Tai and Zach are pushing against that now. Mainly Zach has convinced Tai not to do that. So it potentially could have been Jonathan. But Jonathan, I'm pretty sure, is winning the Bel Air Direct insurance, so he's not going to be an option. Again, we'll probably get even more information on the next daily, where we'll be able to piece out who was actually nominated and what's going on. But let's kind of break down step by step what happened with these conversations. So first off, we get a little convo between Zach and Santina, where they were just kind of checking in to see if each other were good. He eventually leaves, grabs her like one of those like rolling ball workout things where you can stretch your back out. And as he then leaves her with that, she says to herself, I just don't know what it is, but I don't like Zach. She is not a fan of Zach anymore. We then get Santina and Tai, who have a little convo, says that that he talked to Koozie and he thinks that there was this group that were kind of running around when the blow up with Vanessa happened. It was Rob, Tai, Dan, Santina, Zach, and Vanessa. So one of those people are who Koozie is going to be looking at when she's thinking of a pool of people to nominate. Obviously, Rob is gone, so that only leaves Tai, Zach, Dan, Vanessa, and Santina. Tai said he's pretty sure he's good. He thinks that Zach and her have a good relationship. So that only really leaves Vanessa, Dan, and Santina. Read between the lines, Ty's pretty much telling her, listen, it's going to be you and Vanessa. And, you know, she's like, look, I just wanted, he says, I just wanted to give you a heads up on this. And she says, fine, you know, if she puts me up, she puts me up. But, you know, it is what it is. She tries to say to him, you know, that like Zach and him are possible too, but he's just lying, right? He's just trying to make her feel a little bit more comfortable. And it's gonna be Santina and Vanessa. They're gonna be the ones nominated. But again, we didn't get confirmation of that. We then ended up getting Tai and Zach, and this was a great convo. So they started off in the parlor where Tai kind of fills him in. He's like, yeah, me and Claudia are a little rocky right now. Things aren't doing well. And Zach's like, oh no, like this is terrible, but also good for me because then I don't have to worry about you two getting really close. Tai kind of wants it to be Tai, Zach, Hope, Santina, who all start working together. Zach's like, listen, when she takes me out, like I told you so. And Ty's like, well, she's not going to do that. Don't worry about it. She's not going to take you out. Meanwhile, Tai doesn't trust Dan, so like they have a little conflict on who they actually trust. Eventually, though, this conversation moves to the Circle K room where they have a little bit more privacy, and they pull out the gummy bears. So before they did that, actually, Tai actually told Zach how he kind of slipped up with Claudia, let her know too much, and gave her a better idea of how much pull he actually has in the house, and he thinks that she's seeing him more as a threat. So that's something to definitely keep our eye on. But they pull out the gummy bears. Tai thinks that they have Tai, Zach, Koozie, and then Santina, but Zach thinks they have Dan more on his side, so that's kind of a 4 there. Then on the other side of the house, you got Claudia, Nene, Renee, John, Vanessa, Daniel, and Anika he thinks could go over there. And he's like, do you see we're already starting to lose numbers? And Tai even thinks that Dan is over on that side, where Zach feels like Santina is over on that side. So they're trying to figure out like what's the best move for them here. Who is going to be the best person to have Koozie target so that they can kind of keep numbers should things keep going. Meanwhile, Zach's like, here's how I see it. It's more not even about sides, it's who will make the big moves. So Zach will make a big move, Tai will make a big move, Koozie will make a big move, but they trust her. Santina, Claudia, Daniel would all make big moves. So it's more worrisome for him on keeping people like that who would actually take shots at them. He doesn't think Claudia would take a shot at Tai, so they don't have to worry about that too much. And that Santina would. And then you have kind of underneath the people who wouldn't necessarily make a big move, like Nene, Renee, Anika. They don't think Dan would. He would kind of just go along with what they say, or at least Zach thinks that he would go along with what he says. They have John up under there too, but I feel like John 100%, if he wins HOH, he's putting Tai and Zach up because he's got nothing else to lose. So that's the one thing where I think they might be wrong here. And it really was an interesting conversation to see how they both are thinking about this, but they end up kind of coming to more of an agreement here. Tai says he told Koozie not to put Dan up, but he's like the backup, and Zach thinks that's kind of a mistake. Jonathan would be the better one to go up because he already wants to go home. If you put Dan up, he might run over to Nene. And what Tai actually fears is that Dan is with them will actually happen if they do that. Meanwhile, if she puts up Renee, that kind of exposes that Koozie didn't really care what happened last week with Rob and Renee. So that kind of is good for them as well. And it gives them an excuse with Jonathan going up there. It's like, well, he voted against the house, so it just makes it kind of easy. And Ty's kind of pushing back on this, but he's like, listen, at the end of the day, if Santina's up on the block, she's probably going home. Maybe the only time she's not is if Jonathan's up there. So at this point, it doesn't matter. Like if you put Dan up there, Santina goes anyway. And you still risked Dan going over to the other side and ruining a relationship there. Later, Zach ends up telling Tai that if he can get Santina and John to kind of buy back in, it will be better to just put up Renee. Yeah, it exposes Koozie, but it keeps kind of them all safe and kind of hides what's really going on. We do end up seeing Zach kind of link up with Dan, and he just kind of reassures him about what's going on, says he's trying to work to make sure he doesn't go up. There's possibilities of things happening, but go talk to Koozie and try and make sure you're good there. Tai ends up linking up with Santina, and this was a more kind of in-depth conversation where they talk about, gaining trust again. He was asking if she's close with Jonathan now because of the whole Rob stuff, which he says, like, on a game level, not really, but we were both kind of on the out, so that kind of brought us together. He asked about the girls group, and, Santina just kind of says, well, Renee's kind of the captain over there, but I don't know if I'm really with them. They both talk about how they want to work together and kind of move past the whole Rob situation as well. And she says she wishes that she could communicate as well as she does with Tai, that she could do that with Zach, because she has this just block with being able to communicate with him. And Tai tries to explain, he's like, listen, his mind's just always going, and right, like he's got his plan. He's like, I sometimes just gotta tell him, like, stop it, shut up. And like he'll then listen. So Ty's trying to bridge that gap between Santina and Zach and bring them all back together. We got a little convo between Vanessa and Renee. They talk about like the differences between Tai and Renee's game, which is like, that's like, I don't even know. That's trying to compare, a mouse to a cheetah. One is super fast, the other is just kind of running around. It is worlds apart, but they're trying to say like, oh, Ty's, always playing game. He's like 90% game, some 10%, in that little relationship with Claudia. Whereas Renee's like 90% like social game and how like she's really good at that. Vanessa, though, this is why I really wanted to bring this up. Vanessa says she's like Paul. You guys remember Pop and Paul? The 40-year-old who thought they would be good at the game, but then they're not good at the game. Just the self-awareness from Vanessa on that one, I really appreciate. Then we got maybe the next real big conversation was Koozie and Santina talking in the HOH room, and this was kind of tough to watch if you're a fan of Santina. Koozie was just telling her, like, listen, she doesn't ever think that Santina was against her at all or coming for her at all, but she is a strong competitor, so she's got to consider that. Santina seems to be implying that if she were to stay, like, her target would be Zach. She never says Zach, but she was saying how, she would target, the people who have like a social influence, like all these social skills that some people are noticing, which all sounds like it would have been Zach. I don't think Koozie caught on to it though. Like I don't think she really was connecting it. She was like, a bunch of people have social skills. Like she might have caught it and like pretended like she didn't catch it, but I don't know if she did. They then kind of bring up the blow up and how that could be potentially putting a target on Santina because she was involved in it, at least, tangentially. And then Koozie said listen, I liked Rob, right? I just didn't want to choose sides necessarily. And at the end of the day, he was a strong player and it felt like it was better for my game just to get that strong player out. Santina is basically saying like, yeah, like I liked Rob, right? Like I wanted to keep him, but it was more as like a friend, right? Like because like Koozie was like, I want the tea. Like, tell me what's going on. And Sydney's like, oh no, it was nothing, right? We were only friends, maybe on the outside, but she said she's like picky about that kind of stuff. But eventually Santina was like, listen, I know whatever you're going to do, it's going to be a good decision. I know you're not going to have people in your ear. Again, kind of implying that Zach or Tai, more so Zach, are going to be in her ear influencing everything. And when she eventually leaves, Koozie says to herself, like, this sucks because I have to send you home after you were just so nice. Then Tai comes in and we only get a short little part of this. This was the very end of the daily, and they kind of talk about the replacements and what would happen. Tai starts to say, listen, I actually think Dan might be the wrong choice. Again, Zach has kind of convinced Tai that like, hey, this isn't a good idea, because if you already think Dan is leaning towards that side, if he goes up and he knows that we had an influence in this, it's going to push him there completely and we will lose him. So he starts to push that as not a good idea. She says, well, he's only going up if Santina comes off. Tai tries to push Vanessa still as the target no matter what, because again, they want to keep both Dan and Santina. Zach and Tai both feel comfortable with two of them, so they would rather someone like Vanessa go, who's just kind of a wild card. She says she can. He says he can kind of feel like he can pull Santina and John back in, which Koozie says, like, I don't think so. Like, John is never going to work with Tai and Zach. This is a thing where Koozie sees it better than Tai and Zach. So it's really kind of interesting because we saw from the DR session that Koozie trusts Zach Tai the most. Like, that is her most trusted ally. Yeah, she's working with Daniel and Anika, but Tai is her number one. Meanwhile, Tai and Zach, they're number ones for each other. So it's just been them kind of playing everyone in the house. And this is going to be the third week in a row where everything that happens in the HOH is controlled by Tai and Zach. Like, they are completely running this game. And it's kind of wild to see how different this season is compared to most seasons. There's no big alliances going on. It's messy. Tai and Zach are kind of pulling a little bit of a chill town vibe. Like, they are running things right now. It's like Cody and Derek Dan and Memphis, like these are like a dynamic duo who is just running this house right now. They have everybody kind of wrapped around their finger. They do, I guess, have to worry about Renee, Shania, and Claudia, because that's like a trio there that they don't necessarily have control over, and maybe Claudia is slipping away, but I also don't think they have to worry about them beating them in many competitions. Daniel and Anika, maybe they have to worry a little bit, but Zach really kind of has Daniel in his pocket. Anika's really also aligned with Zach as well. They talk a lot of game, and she seems to trust him, even though they know not to trust him, but they still trust him. And this is the type of thing we've seen in all through Big Brother history. Guys like Will, guys like Dan, they were seen. People knew what they were up to, but they never did anything about it. And I see this with Tai and Zach, and they're just going to slide on through and not be nominated by almost anyone. The only people I would think would nominate them right now, Vanessa, Santina, and Jonathan. They don't think Jonathan would do it. Tai doesn't think Santina would do it, but Zach does. And they both kind of want to target Vanessa this week. So they really are doing well. They are starting to lose a little bit of trust and hope. Hope's becoming more of a wild card, right? Like they were letting him kind of do his thing and be rogue, but now it's kind of worrying them. So they are losing trust there. But the last we've seen, Hope does trust Zach 100%. So we'll see how this all goes. What did you guys think of the daily? It was actually a fairly good one. It wasn't really bad. We've been lucky. There's only really been maybe 3-4 bad dailies of the 14 that we've had. In the episodes, we've had 8 episodes. Only 1 was terrible. So this has been a really good season. I honestly think if you're not liking what's going on in this season of Big Brother might not be for you. It might not be. Yes, I understand. Live feeds would make this so much better. I love the feeds. But this season's, it's fun. It's more entertaining watching 2 people control a house than a group of 6 or 7. There's no big alliance going on. We're just seeing 2 masterful players run around this whole place, and I'm loving every minute of it so far. What do you guys think? Let me know in those comments down below. If you are new here, though, hit that subscribe button. You like this video, hit that like button, hit that notification bell. You'll never miss a video. You'll never miss a stream. There's links to all my socials in the description and a pinned comment down below. My Twitter, my Twitch, my Discord, my Kick. Go follow the new Kick channel. I'm going to be streaming on there more, hopefully. And just thank you all so much for all the support you give me on all of my different platforms. I really appreciate each and every one of you. And I will see you next time.